in the initial stage, what actually inspired you to become a lawyer?
I think my mind was split between law school and medical school. And when I was in high school, I actually chose a high school that specialized they were adding elements of law. My grandparents were military people that spent a lot of time and, well, gave their lives for defending the country, defending things that they believe to be right. So if I look at that, I actually think they forward to stories of sacrifice, fight for justice.
What was the most important lesson that you learned in your very first year of practice?
You cannot win cases or put your argument forward purely based on logic. You need to have emotional intelligence. That's essential.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk World Conference. Today, our esteemed guest is Ms. Ewa Kozlowska. Now, Ewa is a senior legal and compliance professional with over a decade of experience supporting banking, swap dealer, security-based swap dealer, futures, commission merchant business, and fintech companies. Now, she has advised on the development of banking and peer-to-peer platforms, as well as the introduction of crypto asset products and related activities. Now, in her current role as a senior vice president at a global bank in Treasury and Trade Solutions, global in business, product risk, she is responsible for supporting the business from a product risk perspective. Eva holds two law degrees from Warsaw University and Fordham Law School, along with an MBA from London Business School, HEC School of Management Paris, Norwegian School of Economics and Business Administration, and Warsaw University of Technology. She also holds Series 7 and 79 FINRA licenses. Wow, ma'am, amazing achievements, and I don't think these are just the only degrees that you hold. I feel and believe there are a little more, when I was going through your profile. Would you like to share a bit more of, about your educational background with our viewers and in actual who Eva Kozlowska is, a bit about yourself?
Thank you for this introduction, Ajay. Absolutely. Well, so your question was about my educational background. Well,
That's right.
first of all, I really think, and this is something that I wanted to emphasize, that every attorney, I guess everybody, should be very purposeful about their career. Meaning, we have a very limited number of hours and number of time in life. So it's just much better to think of exactly what you need rather than just trying to get. Yes. Well, I really think that everyone needs to be very purposeful about their career and the time they spend and sacrifice to study. But I knew that I'm going to at some point have a plan to move to US. So for that reason, I needed to invest a bit more in my education because my law degree may not have been recognized. So I had this fortune of an opportunity to study. I will go to a business school in four best universities um, from uh, economics perspective, which would be London Business School, NHH. Paris Hack and Warsaw University of Technology. So professors for those from those schools, which were actually top executives of Fortune 500 companies, were teachers in that school, and it was very much purpose driven and focused. I think I learned a lot, especially that I went from my MBA right after law school. Um, and after moving to US, I obviously thought that I would love to practice as attorney in this country. So again, I had to go to law school. I did my studies in international business and trade. This was very different experience. Obviously, common law versus civil law country. So there are differences how you approach the law, also
Right.
differences how you think, how you study. Um, but that was definitely a great experience that both built me as a professional, but also as a individual. And law is very much economics and culture driven. I also did study in technology, and reason for that was you really need to specialize in something. And to be perceived as subject matter expert, you really need to invest in understanding the business and operational side of what you do. Nowadays, I think technology holds such a place that it's really not possible to ignore it. Not only for an attorney, it's just not possible to ignore it. And your knowledge of the tools can really translate into your efficiency and your client experience. So I thought it was very important. And again, I had a wonderful mentorship and wonderful to me. Yeah, to be honest, I was nervous. I thought, okay, I studied law. Now I'm jumping to studying IT technologies. But it actually worked out pretty well. And I'm really grateful that I had those opportunities in my life.
That's lovely, man. That's really wonderful, I would say. So now, you had great mentors who could, mentor you during your career time. Now, that must have boosted you, of course. But in the initial stage, what actually inspired you to become a lawyer? Maybe during your teens or during your high school days, were you always clear that, you would be a lawyer one day?
No, not really. And I think that there are very few people, honestly, that know exactly what they want to do from the beginning. I think my mind was split between law school and medical school. And when I was in high school, I actually chose high school that specialized in, they were adding elements of law into their program. So that really, I think, helped me out with seeing if this is something that I would want to do. I always knew that I want to do things which are intellectually challenging and are going to give me some work that is going to give me opportunity to use my intellect, solve complex problems. So I guess also that choice was made clear by looking at my family and legacy and values that I grew up with. So I come from Eastern Europe, and that's a area geographically affected a lot by conflicts, and also my family
Right.
history. My grandparents were military people that spent a lot of time and well, gave their lives for defending the country, defending things that they believe to be right. So if I look at that, I actually think they exposure to stories of sacrifice, fight for justice, shaped my life and probably
And definitely have, a lasting impact on a teenager or a young kid. I definitely agree with you on that, man. So was it only the family members who had this, a profound impact on you, in shaping your career path? Or was it also a specific mentor or maybe, a professor, a teacher, who would have shaped your path all along, maybe from your high school, junior school, middle school, or maybe during college days?
I think that there were a series of people that really had influence on how I was shaped as a professional. And there's a lot of credit that needs to go to people that I met very early in high school. So I had exposure to unbelievable level professionals like Wisława Szymborska. So she's actually a Nobel Prize winner in literature.
Oh, wow.
She's a poetry writer, but she was some person that I was really looking up to, and I had a pleasure of meeting. And I guess she infused that inspiration about being human-centric and also about being very reflective and purposeful about language. So language is really application of how do you package your content and deliver your content to make the most impact. That is a trait that is a key in legal profession. So I really think that I owe a lot to her and her inspiration. Well, in my academic years, Janusz Kochanowski, so I think another huge influence. So he was my professor for 4 years in law school. He was not only academic, he was actually a diplomat. He was a commissioner for civil rights protection, so Polish ombudsman. He also served as a head of NGO that was focused on commitment to human rights. So I think he really inspired the dedication to justice and legal integrity. This was, again, a person that I was looking up to, and as someone who had really profound impact on how I looked at law and what I wanted to be. During my MBA study, from thinking about what influence can you have as an attorney, Professor Witold Orłowski. So he was the director of Warsaw University of Technology that I was studying, and he was also a chief economist, economic advisor for PwC and special advisor for European Union Commission. So he had really analytical approach and economic insights that shaped my understanding of the law and policy, and also gave me a window of opportunity to see how law actually translates to economic welfare in a country. So that connection kind of solidified for me that legal profession is a good choice. We have a lot of influence on how we either write the policies or help in their interpretation or guide companies through that maze to make the most of economic impact. So that was a very profound influence on my career. Yeah, so I think these were the key people in my earlier career, but well, I wouldn't want to diminish number of other people that contributed to that and lessons that I picked up along the way.
Right, I definitely agree. There would be a lot of people who would shape, one's career from time to time. And yes, naming everyone idly, of course, is not possible. I can definitely understand that. Now, you must have learned a lot of things from them. They must have given you a lot of life lessons apart from teaching you what is in your course book, what is in the curriculum. Now, if I'll ask you, beyond your law college or beyond your law school, what was the most important lesson that you learned in your very first year of practice? Once you left the college, once you're out of it. I'm sure, what learn in a classroom is different. What you practice outside is maybe totally different, maybe totally contrast to what you have learned when you get live exposure, live experience. So what was that one
Wise,
thing?
yeah, wise words, Ajay, really. It is exactly like you said. I think it's one thing that we study, but
What you
life has a
practice is
way of
completely different, right?
yes. So I guess huge surprise for me when I first came to a courtroom, and this was actually medical malpractice cases. So I started from that. I actually felt that that was a path for me, kind of merging that early interest in medicine and law. But I very quickly learned that emotions often speak louder than logic, especially in the courtroom settings. And you cannot win cases or put your argument forward purely based on logic. You need to have emotional intelligence. That's essential. You need to read the crowd.
I never thought that such things can happen in a court of law. Where you only talk on the proofs, the kind of documentary proofs, or maybe XYZ things which are produced. Now, this is the first time that I'm hearing. The emotions also play a big role.
Jury cases. Jury cases.
Jury cases are there.
It's if you think about speaking to people that are not necessarily having the legal background, and how effective can you convey your message to them? First thing is obviously letter of the law and
Right, right,
instructions
right, right.
around following it. But you need to lend your argument in a way that is relatable, and that's a key.
Very good. Right. Yeah, definitely. Because jury members are not part of the law practicing community. So they
Mm.
are probably from the outside world. not from the law
Yeah,
community.
typically, typically, yes.
Right. I agree, ma'am. That's lovely. Now, okay, so you learn one thing, then you practice something different. So, can you share some significant professional challenge or maybe a low moment of your life, that taught you a lesson that you still carry today? I mean, one lesson
Well,
would have
yeah.
been that, you learned that jury members are different, emotional connect is still required. Anything apart from that, where you felt your low moment, where you felt very low about something and
Mm.
something professionally challenging, and then you still carry that till date, which you would like to share with the viewers, if they come across something like this.
Absolutely. And one thing that I would start with is whatever you experience in your life, because challenges will be there. This is how life works. Um,
Right.
you need to probably keep one thing in life. Whatever happens, you have a choice. Either you are going to become wise or you're going to become wounded. So, how you digest the
Wow.
experience.
I see the author coming out. I
Oh,
mean, just for the
thank you.
viewers who don't know, Eva is also an author, guys. So just in case, you don't know about it, Eva also happens to be an author. So I
Oh,
can see the author coming out.
a little bit here. Yes, you're right. Well,
Mhm.
so I guess it's very important how you digest the experiences in life. Meaning, are you going to make it something that is going to be nourishing for you? Are is this experience that you can integrate and you can build on, and do not attach your identity to that experience. Do not think about yourself that, let's say, you were singled out. Life is just like that. It's ups and downs. You need to take what nourishes you. And I think for me, the low moment was where I experienced situations of not being heard when I knew that I'm right, when I knew that I am taking the right course of action, but somehow it just wasn't resonating. And on the other side, there was lack. A vacuum of understanding and vacuum of receptivity to be understanding. So I think those were the times where I felt disempowered. And that's probably a funny thing to say for an attorney, but yes, those things do happen. And the most important lesson from that was just to be patient and persevere. It's one thing, it's one obstacle. Don't make it into your life. Just keep
Right.
moving forward. That's all. Oh, there was this quote. I think it was from Rocky, and I probably will butcher it because that's the only thing I remember from that movie. It's not about how hard can you punch. It's about how
It's
hard
about
can
how
you
hard.
get punched,
Right.
and
And then
keep
again
moving
get back.
forward.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. One of my favorite movies. Yeah, at least the first four installments, Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4. Till the fourth part, the movie was good. Then after that, it loses the track. You know,
Well, you made the commitment of watching all. I know things here and there, but also Bruce Lee. Be water, my
mhm.
friend. So you meet obstacles on your path. There are stones. It's a waste of time of sometimes trying to drill through them. It's much better to find the ways to accomplish your goals and meet your requirements by finding the least resistant path. And it just requires um, stepping back and being emotionally smart about how you approach the problem. Perhaps there's another angle.
Wow, that's lovely, man. Only an accomplished author can put things in such a simple manner. Such complex things in such a simple manner. Wow, lovely. Hats off to you.
Thank you. I'm just quoting wise man.
Lovely. Okay, Ms. Kozlowska, now you shared about your low moment. Now, if I would ask you, something, something which was professional, I mean, let's say in terms of achievements, any professional achievement which you felt, this is something great that you've achieved in your life, or maybe, any part of course of your life, or it might not have been a big public victory for you, but it was personally, it was meaningful for you. I mean, if I would rephrase myself, maybe not a courtroom victory for you, but personally, you felt that you have done something great for yourself, something meaningful.
A very good question. Yeah, there are many things that I can be proud of. I drafted, negotiated contracts for Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
I participated in litigations with international scope. I advised companies that, well, one of the most influential companies in the financial industry. But I think from a personal perspective, the things that I found most memorable is where I had personal impact. And there's a case that I remember when I was working for Department of Labor back in Europe. Um,
Hmm.
I came across a young man in high school who was in well, who had certain choices before him. And there were policy limitations as far as course of his study. It was just policy of the school. But fortunately, having authority and having not really law degree, but more so authority that was driven by the fact that the person who was having decision power about this young man uh, looked up to me. I was able to influence the outcome in a way that uh, career path for this man opened up, and he went to study psychology and changing lives or of many men and having that impact, which otherwise he wouldn't have. And it was because of the policy limitations. So I think having that personal, meaningful impact on somebody's life where I see a outcome and I have a pleasure of seeing the ripple effect that he accomplished something, that he also influenced lives of others. This was extremely rewarding experience and very humbling because I realized that truly in that situation I had no authority to do anything, but only because I had that personal influence and the person listened to what I was saying, um, changed their decision. Path of that young man opened up and he was able to accomplish great things in his life.
Wow. That's lovely, man. Making changes or bringing a change in somebody's life would be a person's best achievement. I definitely agree to you on that. That's lovely. Uh, just to ask you, you have prepared yourself right from a very young age. You were pretty sure about what you need to pursue your career as, what all you need to study, which university you go to. And I would say, God was great to you when, you had great mentors who could, mentor you throughout your career, the Nobel Prize winners. What kind of message would you like to give to our young listeners or young viewers? Looking at the lives
Mm.
changing scenarios, changing environment. Even you would agree that things were different 20 years from now. With the advent of internet and different technologies coming in. So, what do you see? The new challenges that young people might feel maybe in next 5 years, maybe in next 10 years, and how can one prepare for those challenges?
It's excellent question. Um, First of all, I think that one thing to remember is we do have some opportunities in life, but it how we use them is the most important part. I was
Right.
fortunate in it's and in many ways, in ways that had means to study, in the ways that I came across people that really installed in me a lot of and inspired in me a lot of dedication to justice and legal integrity, which I think is a huge value. But first of all, you always need to remember you will have small opportunities coming in your life. You don't know what doors those opportunities are going to open up. You know, connections with some of my mentors were built on very personal level. For example, with Professor Janusz Kochanowski, we shared love of literature and classical literature. So it came out in a conversation. So when you think about building yourself, think also about building your hobbies, building areas where you can have that personal connection. Hobby, either sports, literature, history, whatever it is actually also investment in your professional career. It's also investment in, how you think. That's also opportunity for you to be unique and have something interesting to say about yourself, not only that you're an attorney. Plus, considering AI and considering agentic AI in the future, there will be a lot of changes. Attorneys cannot be shy about learning as much as possible about technology. It doesn't mean that you need to become IT expert, but you need to be fluent with your tools because they're efficiency. This is the way for you to deliver excellence to your clients. So just honing your tools and amplifying and focusing on your strong side rather than trying to work on your weaknesses. There are weaknesses that you need to overcome, but focusing on what you are good at and amplifying that's usually, I noticed, a good way to go. Plus, as I said, try to become expert in something. Build your hobby because it can be an unexpected career path. Being an attorney doesn't mean that you shouldn't pursue a career or pursue your interest in art, for example, because you can connect that, or in humanitarian work, because you can connect that. So career of a lawyer is so malleable that you can connect that pretty much with anything and practice that in niche areas. I think that being a generalist and just understanding overall legal requirements of your client is important, but what is valued is being an expert. So become expert in something.
Wow, lovely, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for sharing such lovely views, and thank you for sharing about your journey with our viewers. Thanks a lot for that, Ms. Ewa Kozlowska. Now, for our viewers, today we had an author, a writer, an MBA graduate, a lawyer, a Fortune 500 attorney, with us today in the studio. Ma'am, thank you for sharing your views. I can certainly understand, that a career in law is actually demanding, but it's also a chance to make a real difference. And if you are ready to work hard, and keep learning and stand up for what's right, as Ms. Kozlowska stated from the Rocky movie, it doesn't matter how hard the life hits you, but, it all depends on how you stand up, face it, and then keep moving forward. The legal world is waiting for you. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for listening to us. Until next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank
That's
you
right,
so
folks.
much.